I'm wearing this shirt. Do you see the shirt, Jack? It's Gritty Gang. It's a Justin Jefferson shirt today.
It's a nice shirt.
Because this morning the news broke, and we had said this would happen for quite some time, that Justin Jefferson signed a 4-year, $140 million contract, 110 guaranteed with the Minnesota Vikings. And, look across the NFC North, the division is just loaded offensively, top to bottom, with Lions top 5 offense. We all know about Jordan Love's ascension. The Bears, just this offseason, the Bears have Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift, and Caleb Williams joining the fold, which is just pretty incredible. So this was going to happen. This was necessary for the Vikings in, keeping up with the Jonases, basically, or the Joneses, to go and get keeping up with the Jonases. I think that was
I was like, is that sort of like meme that you're trying to do?
Nick Jonas, the Nick Jonas show. But yeah, broke a recent trend of the Vikings parting ways with receivers while they were still in their prime. Think of Randy Moss, Percy Harvin, Stephon Diggs. All of them were traded at some point. It was disappointing to see as Vikings fans, these guys, these stars and, players we love as fans get sent away. And there were people who wanted to trade Jefferson. Believe it or not, there were people who said, go get the picks. This team isn't ready to win right now. Let's try and rebuild this roster instead of allocating such heavy resources to Justin. But for me, and tell me if you agree with this, Jack, I thought this was a no-brainer on basically every single level. As most productive receiver ever through 4 seasons, great locker room guy, gets along with everyone, awesome cultural impact in Minnesota. The Gritty's taken over. He's only 25 years old. And then, of course, you have JJ McCarthy coming in. And what better way to help him than having the best receiver in the game? So to me, it just checks all the boxes. It wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when he'd get this, and well-deserved.
Who do you think is the most handsome Jonas brother? Nick?
That's what people seem to say.
So I do agree completely. I mean, we said on the last show that it wasn't a matter of if, it was when, and the weapons that these other teams in the NFC North have, the Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay as their quartet. And we ranked them in the last episode, and it was tough to go 1 through 4 because they're all very loaded. Mm-hmm. Justin Jefferson is 24 years old, younger than us, on pace to be one of the best all time. And when you have an Antonio Brown level guy, or at least on pace to be so far, you pay him what he deserves. And he's the quarterback of this team, especially with the young quarterback too, and JJ McCarthy. The best way to get him accustomed is to keep your superstar receiver.
Yeah.
I thought, obviously, of course, he's the highest paid ever now, right? But I think it was well worth it and he deserves it.
Highest paid non-quarterback in the history of football. And you look at the receiver market, this deal will probably start looking really good for Minnesota in the near future because you still have to pay Jamar Chase now. CeeDee Lamb is going to get a contract. I saw someone on Twitter saying the Cowboys are trying to make Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb the highest paid at their positions by continuing to wait to give them their contracts. But when you have Amon-Ra making 30, AJ Brown's making 32 million a year coming up, like Justin Jefferson at 35 is going to look good pretty soon. And with these other star receivers coming up with their contracts, I think it was a great job from Minnesota to get the deal done. And it was someone that you need to lock in when you're talking about a Hall of Fame level talent, not just a good receiver, not just one of the best in the history of football so far through 4 years. And when you look at the Vikings as a whole, talk about the foundational pieces of a team. I look at left tackle, Christian Darrisaw, one of the best in the league. Wide receiver now, with the way the NFL is at this moment, receiver is an incredibly important position. You lock in the best player in the league outside of quarterbacks in Justin Jefferson. Edge rusher, that would be my third. And you're hoping Dallas Turner can turn into the guy. I'd actually put cornerback as one of the 4 foundational pieces of a team, and the Vikings don't have that right now. But then the last one in terms of players, because coach matters, is quarterback. Mm-hmm. And what? Oh yeah, with coach. The last one though is quarterback, and as much fun as we're having finally signing Justin and moving on from this offseason, not a distraction, but in some ways it was just a little bit of a nuisance waiting for it to get done. JJ McCarthy has to work. Like, it doesn't matter how good the team is. If the quarterback's not there, you're not going anywhere. Like, it's just not gonna happen. So the Vikings, despite having this really solid core here, if JJ doesn't turn out, or Darnold even, because I think Sam Darnold is actually in position to have his best season ever for finally having offensive weapons. But if JJ McCarthy does not develop into a suitable quarterback, it doesn't have to be a superstar, but just a above average quarterback, then all of this is just going to be wasting time in Jefferson's prime, which we've seen. With Adrian Peterson, we only had a couple years of his real prime, and Antonio Brown. Think of like once Ben started to fall off a bit, Steelers had great weapons, but you can't go anywhere without the quarterback. So great to have these guys locked in, and great to lock up Jefferson. But to me, they are like the most luxurious of assets when you need the quarterback.
Yeah, also too, when you want to set your young quarterback up, you're hopeful to be quarterback of the future.
Yeah.
A young guy in McCarthy, you do the best for him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Justin Jefferson not on the team does not help him in the slightest.
Yeah. So they need that. And it's funny, you look back, and some people who are anti the Jefferson contract are going to say, last year, do you know the Vikings record with and without Jefferson last year? Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, no.
So with Jefferson, they were 2-8. Without him, they were 5-2. And that's where people can make their argument and say, okay, like we know that quarterback is what's most important. And Kirk Cousins was on the heater during that 5-2, or most of those 5-2 games. So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, once McCarthy settles in and he's good, now all of a sudden you can go from a good team after establishing that the quarterback can play to a great team with the weapons they have. And that's why, Jefferson, more than anyone in the league, takes on double teams and opens things up for other superstar talented level players like Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. It's an exciting time in Minnesota. Like if Darnold or McCarthy is okay, the offense is so good. So I'm jacked up. I think it's a great day.
I mean, I've said it too. To be a team who, unless you're the Chiefs with Mahomes, he's an anomaly.
Yeah.
But if you want to be a team who can go far and can compete, we've seen in recent years, a lot of these teams who are in the postseason have an alpha dog, like elite level receiver.
Mm-hmm. I saw Colin Cowherd, my boss, say something earlier today that 9 of the top 10 receivers in terms of receiving yards last year, their teams made the playoffs. And that's just where the NFL is going these days. And it's weird because the guys that jump off the top of your head, a lot of them aren't on that list. It's like, Puka had a great year, but when I think of best receivers in the league, I'm still not putting Puka there. Like right. Puka was top 10. You had Mike Evans in the top 10.
The playoffs.
Amon-Ra was in the top 10. Championship game,
Yeah.
All these guys, and it makes sense because their offenses had great years. But receiver is turning into one of those spots now where if you don't have one of the top guys, it can be a problem. And I just think having Jefferson obviously elevates you to such a high degree.